Welcome to Serving the Word Bible Study class, where we read the Bible and we also study, prove by thy precepts. That's how we study the Bible, and when we get in conversation, we have to study to prove by the precepts and explain what we're saying, but the precepts will explain it. So today's topic will be, who is Melchizedek? We got different people saying that he was a king, man king or whatever, but we're going to go through the scriptures and we're going to see who is Melchizedek. So we're going to start off in Genesis 11, verse 26 to 32. And we're going to get the backdrop of Abram, which is known as Abraham. So, Genesis chapter 11, verse 26 says, And Terah lived 70 years and begot Abram, Nahor, and Haran. 27. Now these are the generations of Terah. Terah begot Abram, Nahor, and Haran begot Lot. And Haran died before his father, Terah, in the land of his nativity, in Ur of the Chaldees. And Abram and Nahor took them wives. The name of Abram's wife was Sarai, and the name of Nahor wife was Melchi, the daughter of Haran, the father of Melchi, and the father of Achiah. Then when you read verse 27, but Sarah was barren. She had no child. And Terah took Abram his son, and Lot the son of Haran his sons, and Sarah his daughter-in-law, his son Abram's wife, and they went forth with them from Ur of the Chaldees to go into a land of Canaan, and they came unto Haran and dwelt there. And the days of Terah were 205 years, and Terah died in Haran. Okay, so we got the genealogy of Abram. Okay, if we go to chapter, we're going to go to Genesis, the next chapter over, Genesis 12, verse 1 through 7. Verse 1, Now the Lord said unto Abram, Get thee out of thy country, and from thy kindred, and from thy father's house, into a land that I will show thee. And I will make thee a great nation, and I will bless thee, and make thy name great, and thou shalt be a blessing. And I will bless them that bless thee, and I will curse them that curse thee. And in thee shall families of the earth be blessed. So Abram departed as the Lord had spoken unto him, and Lot went with him. And Abram was 75 years old when he departed out of Haran. And Abram took Sarah his wife, and Lot his brother's son, and all their substance, and they had gathered, and the souls of they that had gotten in Haran, and they went forth to go into the land of Canaan. And into the land of Canaan they came. And Abram passed through the land unto the place of Shechem, unto the plain of Mamre, and the Canaanites were then in the land. And the Lord appeared unto Abram and said unto thy seed will I give this land. And there builded he an altar unto the Lord who appeared unto him. Question: when the Lord appeared unto Abram, what did Abram see? We're going to go into Genesis 14. We're going to go into Genesis 14, verse 13. And 14, verse 13 says, And there came one that had escaped and told Abram the Hebrew for he dwelt in the plains of Mamre, the Amorite brother of Ashgal, the brother of Anar, and let me read that again. And these were confederate with Abraham. So the main point I want you to get out of this verse is Abram the Hebrew. So that's where we get Hebrew, okay? So my question to everybody is, when you go from Abram all the way back to Adam, when was the Most High dealing with kings? That's the question. When was the Most High dealing with kings? Because in the scriptures, when you read chapters back, the Most High was dealing with men he chose. He was not dealing with no kings. Another thing, when you read further down, the kings and the priests were in Abram's loins. We're going to take our time and we're going to go through these precepts to see what it's saying. The Most High was not dealing with no kings. Matter of fact, in this particular couple of chapters, he's dealing with Abraham personally. He wasn't dealing with no nations. He took Abraham out of the land of Ur to make a great nation. So when you read, you got to get understanding. So we're going to get some more understanding. But the priests and the kings were in Abram's loins. So let's get an example. The example is 1 Samuel, the first king of Israel. The first king is in 1 Samuel chapter 8. So let's go to 1 Samuel. 1 Samuel chapter 8 and verse 4. 1 Samuel chapter 8, verse 4 to 7. Verse 4 reads, "And all the elders of Israel gathered themselves together and came to Samuel unto Ramah, and said unto him, Behold, thou art old, and thy sons walk not in thy way. Now make us a king to judge us like the other nations. But the thing displeased Samuel when they said, Give us a king to judge us. And Samuel prayed unto the Lord." Verse 7, "And the Lord said unto Samuel, Hearken unto the voice of the people in all that they say unto thee, for they have not rejected thee, but they have rejected me, that I should not reign over them." So the Most High was the king, which was the Son. We always dealt with the Son. The Most High was the king of Israel and of the people. When he was dealing with Abraham, he was the king. Okay? Now let's go back to Genesis 14, and we're going to deal with Melchizedek. So we go back to Genesis 14, and we're going to read Genesis 14, 18 through 20. So verse 18 says, 18, "And Melchizedek, king of Salem, brought forth bread and wine, and he was the priest of the Most High God. And he blessed him and said, Blessed be Abram of the Most High God, possessor of heaven and earth. And blessed be the Most High God, which has delivered thine enemies unto thy hands. And he gave him a tenth of all." So that's a tenth of all. That's verse 20. So now, when it says, in verse 18, when it says, "And Melchizedek, king of Salem, brought forth wine and bread. Sounds like it's a king that, like a man, which is a king, but the Most High was not dealing with no kings. He was just making a nation out of using Abraham. Okay, so now let's go to Hebrews. You guys are going to see this. We get tangled up in certain scriptures, but it's all going to make sense. It's got to make sense. The Most High is not the author of confusion. So we're going to go to Hebrews chapter 4, and we're going to read 14 through 15. Hebrews chapter 4, verse 14 through 15. Verse 14. Seeing then that we have a great high priest, that is passed unto the heavens, Jesus, the Son of God, let us hold fast our professions. For we have not an high priest which cannot be touched with the feelings of our infirmities, but was in all points tempted like as we are, yet without sin. So that's kind of key there. As we go further in the scriptures, you're going to see that no man of flesh could have been King of peace and King of righteousness. I'm going to show you where people get tangled up at. Okay, we're going to go to the next chapter. We're going to read in Hebrews chapter 5, we're going to read 5 through 6. And 5 through 6 says, so also Christ glorified not himself to be made a high priest, but he that said unto him, Thou art my son, today have I begotten thee. As he has said also in another place, Thou art a priest forever after the order of Melchizedek. When we go down to verse 9, it says, and being made perfect, he became the author of eternal salvation unto all them that obey him. Verse 10, called of God and high priest after the order of Melchizedek. So, when the Messiah came down on earth, he had to fulfill what man couldn't fulfill by himself when the first Adam sinned against the Most High. So he was redeeming man back to himself. Okay, so let's go to Hebrews chapter 6. Let's go to Hebrews chapter 6, and we're going to read verse 19 to 20. And verse 19 says, which hope we have as an anchor of the soul, both sure and steadfast, and which entereth into that within the veil. Talking about the Messiah, entered the veil when he shed his body. Whether the forerunner is for us entered, even Jesus made an high priest forever after the order of Melchizedek. Okay, so now, sounding like it's two different people, but it's not. Let's go to 7. Let's go to chapter 7. Now we finna break down where everybody kind of gets mixed up at, or maybe they overlook this. But the scriptures need to make sense. It's got to make sense. So let's go to chapter 7, the next chapter over, verse 1 through 6. And it reads, for this Melchizedek, king of Salem, priest of the Most High God, who met Abraham, returning from the slaughter of the kings, and blessed him, to whom also Abraham gave a tenth part of all, first being interpretation, king of righteousness, after that also king of Salem, which is king of peace. Okay? Verse 3. Here we go. Without father, without mother, without descent. Without father, without mother, the only person that could claim that was was Adam. Let me read that again. Without father, without mother, without descent. I stopped in the middle of that verse 3 because the only one without an earthly mother and an earthly father was Adam and Eve. Now, it says, verse 3 again, and I'll read it all the way through this time. It says, without father, and without mother, without descent, having neither beginning of days nor end of life, but made like unto the Son of God, abiding a priest continually. This is where everybody gets crossed up at. In verse 4, now consider how great this man was, unto whom even the patriarch Abraham gave the tenth of the spoils. Y'all see that? I'm going to show you that it wasn't a man. When you look at that verse, it says a man, right? Let's go to Genesis 18. I'm going to show you. Let's go to Genesis 18. Let's go to Genesis 18 and read verse 1 on down. Okay, Genesis 18 reads, and the Lord appeared unto him, this is Abraham, and the Lord appeared unto him in the plains of Mamre, and he sat in the tent door in the heat of the day. Watch this, verse 2. And he lifted up his eyes and looked, and lo, 3 men stood by him. And when he saw them, he ran to meet them from the tent door and bowed himself towards the ground. First of all, Abraham is not, if he's been dealing with the Most High, he is not going to bow down to no man. Understand that. But when you read further down, it says 3 men. When you read in Hebrews chapter 7 and verse 4, it's talking about a man. Now, said he bowed himself toward the ground. Look, and said, my Lord. He is not going to call no man my Lord. If now I have found favor in thy sight, pass not away, I pray thee, from thy servant. Let a little water, I pray you, be fetched, and wash your feet, and rest yourselves under the tree. Okay, now we just dealing with the 3 men, okay? If I go down to verse 16, verse 16 says, and the men rose up from thence and looked towards Sodom. And Abram went with them to bring them on their way. Those 3 men, y'all see that? You go down to verse 22, and it says, and the men turned their face thence and went towards Sodom, but Abraham stood yet before the Lord. The 3 men was the Lord, which was the Son, and 2 angels. Okay? So, that men in Hebrews 7, verse 4, I'm gonna give you the answer. Let's go back to Hebrews chapter 7. Hebrews chapter 7. We're going to read, we're going to skip down and read verse 14 through 17. Okay, Hebrews chapter 7, verse 14 verse 14, and it reads, "For it is evident that our Lord sprang out of Judah, of which tribe Moses spake nothing concerning priesthood." Look, verse 15, "And it is yet far more evident for that after the similitude of Melchizedek there arises another priest." The key is that man part, the similitude. When you look up the word similitude, it's likeness or image. Let me give you an example first, and then I'll get into it. Let's go to Numbers. That's similitude. We're gonna deal with similitude right now. Let's go to Numbers 12, verse 8. Numbers 12, verse 8. So we got to get understanding through the precepts. So I'm just trying to get some clarification, and the book got to make sense. So what did I say? Numbers 12, verse 8. And this is Moses, Aaron, and Miriam. Okay, I'm going to start at 7. Verse 7 says, "My servant Moses is not," no, let me start at verse 5 to show y'all. Verse 5, "And the Lord came down into the pillar of a cloud and stood in the door of the tabernacle and called Aaron, Miriam, and they both came forth." A lot of people read over this. This is so deep right here. You got to understand, when it was a cloud by day and fire by night, that was the Most High's transportation. Listen to when I read verse 5 again. "And the Lord came down in the pillar of the cloud and stood in the doorway of the tabernacle and called Aaron and Miriam, and they both came forth." He came down out of the cloud and stood in the doorway. You got to have legs to stand. So what did they see? Let's read further down. "And he said," this is the Lord talking, "Hear now my words. If there be a prophet among you, I, the Lord, will make myself known unto him in visions, and I will speak unto him in dreams. But my servant Moses is not so, who is faithful in all mine house." Verse 8 that I wanted to get to prove my point. "Within him will I speak mouth to mouth." Mouth to mouth, meaning that he had to have a mouth to speak. And in the face, look, even apparently and not in dark speeches. "And the similitude means likeness or image, of the Lord shall he see," behold. He's going to behold the image. He's going to look like a man. "Wherefore," let me read verse 8 again. "Within him will I speak mouth to mouth, even apparently, and not in dark speeches. And the similitude of the Lord shall he behold. Wherefore then were you not afraid to speak against my servant Moses?" So every time the Most High appeared in the Old Testament, and there's countless times, they seen the shape of a man. The Lord appeared as a man. The Lord appeared as a man in the similitude, the likeness. Okay? So, the man part is not a physical man. It's the similitude of a man. So, let's go to Matthew's. Let's go to Matthew's 26. Matthew's 26. So when you read, you just got to get understanding, man. The book is deep, and the more you read it, the more the Most High reveals deep, dark secrets to you, and give you. When you pray, you need to ask for wisdom and understanding, so that you can understand His word. So we're going to go to Matthew 26, verse 26. Okay, this is the when Christ was getting ready to be crucified. So we're going to read Matthew 26, and it says, Matthew 26, and as they were eating, Jesus took bread and blessed it and brake it and gave it to the disciples and said, Take, eat, this is my body. And he took the cup and gave thanks and gave it to them, saying, Drink ye all of it, for this is my blood of the New Testament, which is shed for many for the remission of sins. Okay? So, when you read that, the Lord, this is the beginning of the New Testament. Let's go to John. Let's go to John. The book of John. The book of John, chapter 6. And verse 53. And 53 says, And Jesus said unto them, Verily, verily, I say unto you, except ye eat the flesh of the Son of Man and drink his blood, ye have no life in you. Whosoever eateth my flesh, drinketh my blood, has eternal life, and I will raise him up at the last day. For my flesh is meat indeed, and my blood is drink indeed. He that eateth my flesh and drinketh my blood dwelleth in me, and I in him. As the living Father hath sent me, and I by the Father, so he that eateth me, even he shall live by me. This is that bread which came down from heaven, not as your fathers did eat manna, and are dead. He that eateth of this bread shall live forever. Right? So, I gave you Matthew 26, the Last Supper, the wine and the bread. I just gave you John, telling you drinking the wine and eating his flesh is the bread. Those two precepts, those are precepts. I need to say this. Let's go to John. Before I say this, let me go to John chapter 5, 2 books back. John 5, verse 39. And John 5, verse 39 says, Search the scriptures, for in them you think that you have eternal life. They are they that which testify of me. So, the statement that I want to make is this. Melchizedek was the son of God in the Old Testament before he became man. There is no man on this earth that can have a title King of Peace, King of Righteousness. Matter of fact, when we take the wine and the bread, Melchizedek offered the wine and the bread to Abraham. When we read in the New Testament, when he came in the man, when he became in the man form, he became the wine and the bread. So the priesthood, when Melchizedek introduced the priesthood to Abraham, the priests were in his loins. The Levites and the kings were in his loins. The priesthood was loaned to man until he can come in the flesh to redeem man back to the Most High God. Okay? He became the ultimate sacrifice. He became the ultimate high priest after the order of Melchizedek. In the flesh, he became the wine and the blood. When he became the wine and the blood, he became the ultimate priest forever. What I'm saying is, Melchizedek is the son of God before he became a man. So, if I'm wrong, you can prove me wrong. But he took the wine. When we do Passover and we take the wine and the bread, he took the priesthood back. That's why we take the wine and the bread. He became the wine and the bread. And we take wine and bread for the Passover. Okay, so now the priesthood went back to him. He's the ultimate priest. We under the order of Melchizedek. That's just a title. Melchizedek part is just a title. That's all it is. So, brothers and sisters, I hope you got some edification. Study this book. There's more to be revealed. Like I said, I could be wrong, but King of Peace, King of Righteousness, the Son of God is the only one that could be called that. Melchizedek is just a title. So I hope you got edified. May God bless you. Shalom, my brothers and sisters, and stay blessed. Thank you.